So now, as your freshman year ends now, are you thinking about higher level AAU now that you're in high school? You kind of understand what direction you kind of want things to go. What's following that freshman year?
So, Jeremy, the one I met, and the person I met at that summer at Cardinal Hayes camp, I remained in contact with him. I was speaking with him throughout the whole year. And in that fall, it was like October, Jim Hart, the City Rocks director, had the New York State Top 24 camp or whatever that he had every year. Mm-hmm. So that same year before the high school season started, I had went to that. And that's when I saw Cardinal Hayes was the first time I saw it. The real second time I saw like national level talent was when I went to that camp. So I seen, Isaiah Washington, Sidney Wilson, Kevin Herter was there before he blew up. Quentin Rose was there, Jordan Tucker was there. All these guys was there. So I got to experience that, and throughout all of that, he's, Jeremy's talking to me about, AAU, City Rocks, things like that. And I'm starting to, understand a little bit better how things is going.
Let me ask you this, what was going through your mind at that time? This is prior to your freshman year. So you're going into your freshman year, you meet this random guy, and you're going upstate and you're in the gym with a bunch of dudes that you hear about or seen on YouTube, yada, yada, yada. They know what their future is like. You have no idea what your future is looking like. What's going through your mind as a 14-year-old kid at that time?
Honestly, I wouldn't even say I knew those people there. I didn't know any of those people there. It's only in hindsight now that I know, okay, that was Jordan Tucker. Okay, that was Kevin Herter. Only person I knew was Isaiah Washington because I was from New York. He was famous with the kids in terms of like jelly and this and that. So I knew who that was, but I didn't even know what he looked like because I didn't have any social media. I never played in any tournaments as any of these team people.
Gotcha.
So all I knew was names. I didn't know any faces. And only later on when I'm able to look back do I recognize some of the faces and the names. So when I'm there, I'm just trying to play basketball. I didn't expect nothing of myself in terms of like, obviously I expect myself to play well, but I didn't like have any expectation like, oh, this guy's doing this or this guy's doing that, or even it resonated with me in terms of what any of that meant. I just saw New York State top 24. What did you think of the
talent level that was in
it was the talent I never seen before in my life that I didn't even know could exist at my age group. So it was eye-opening, and it was just a great experience. I was just like a kid at a candy store, honestly. Like, it's just something that was just like I was just being awakened for the first time, living a basketball life of naivety.
Got you. Okay. So now, what correlation did that have with your following your freshman year?
So I ended up playing with City Rocks, 15U, that summer, and that was a great experience as well in terms of, just a lot of growth that happened for me. I didn't play a lot, but looking back, I realized why I couldn't have played a lot because there was a lot of really good people on my team. Boo Boo was on the team. He didn't play as much either, and he was one of the best point guards in college basketball for a couple years. Buddy Boeheim, who was with the Pistons, Joe Girard, Tyrese Williams. Who else was on that team?
Did you play with Jalen Pickett?
No, Jalen Pickett was on the 16s. Okay. So I was on the 15s. He was on the 16s. So it was just, it was my first time playing AU basketball, traveling across the country, playing against the best players in my age group in the country. So I was just trying to learn. And obviously it was frustrated at my age, like not playing. Like, what am I even going 3 hours to the City Rocks for to not play? So, but, I wouldn't be where I am now if I hadn't experienced that and learned and met the people I've met throughout that experience. But at the end of the summer, it ended up paying off because I played in Rumble in the Bronx, which was back home towards the end of the summer. And it was like the first opportunity where like the best players on the team weren't playing. So it was an opportunity for me to, play, and I did really well. Obviously, probably the competition level wasn't as good as it was on the national AU circuit, but it was a big confidence booster for me because I waited that whole summer not playing, and then the opportunity I got to play, I did really well, which really made me feel good.
Got you. So now you're finishing that up, and you're heading into your sophomore season. Did you return back to Berkeley Carroll, or? I
ended up transferring to Cardinal Hayes now. So I ended up going to Cardinal Hayes. I left Berkeley Carroll because my father had wanted me to play after experiencing, the New York State Top 24, experiencing AAU. He wanted me to go play against the best players in the city I possibly can because he felt what I needed for my development was to continually play against the best I possibly can and to help me grow in that way. So he didn't feel like I could have done that at Berkeley Carroll. And so I decided to go to Cardinal Hayes for my sophomore year.
Okay. Okay. And how did you feel about that move, and how did you feel your sophomore year went?
That's another experience for me in terms of, coming in with high expectations. Everybody's like, oh, you playing varsity, this and that, like you would transfer, like, so I was playing varsity, I was starting, and it was high expectations because of I don't want to say hype, but because some people started to realize who I was because I did what I did at Rebel in the Bronx, and because, they see a 6'6", 6'7" kid coming in who has some guard skills, that has some potential, some intangibles. It was, some level of high expectations, so it was a real good learning experience for me because of just all those things and just being able to deal with those things and just some of the good moments I had and some of the low moments I had during that year.
And how did you feel that year went for you as an individual on the court, and how did y'all perform as a team?
On the court, I remember very first open gym. I got my first college offer from Iona. When that happened, I was like, I don't think I even really understood the meaning of what that meant. But I remember I had a really good open gym. I got that offer, and I was like,
how did it feel to get that first offer?
It was like I couldn't honestly believe it. One, probably because I didn't even comprehend what that meant.
Right.
And two, I remember everyone in that gym, open gym, like I guess we're all fighting for the same thing. But to me, it was just we was playing pickup.
Yeah.
But to them, it's like, yo, back to what you were saying. This is about like the future plan. But for me, I didn't have that future sight yet because I was still like trying to figure things out. I didn't know how basketball worked.
Yeah.
So for me to get that offer, call my dad and tell him, it was just, an amazing feeling. I'll always remember how I felt after that first open gym.
You know who it was on the staff that gave you that offer?
Jared Grasso.
Oh, Grasso himself.
Yeah. He was there at the open gym. He gave it to me himself. I remember.
Got you. Go walk us through that year. How did that year go as a team and whatnot?
There's a lot of seniors on the team, and I remember that same year, Joe Toussaint was a freshman. He played with us. Adam Cisse was a freshman. He played with us. Me and Tyrese were the only sophomores on the team, and then the rest of the team were, I think, one other junior, and the rest of the team was seniors. So for the seniors, they were feeling that pressure of, I need to get scholarships. I need to find a way to get to school. The younger kids are like, I want to play. Like, seniors, it's not better than us. Like, we should be playing just because they're seniors. So it was a little bit of a clash. Some friction in terms of that. We had a good year in terms of we won the Archdiocese for the Bronx. So we beat St. Raymond's in the Archdiocese championship. But then we ended up losing in the first round of...
Cities?
Yeah, the CHSA Cities, first round. But I was able to learn a lot. I was able to grow. I was able to be around, basketball players who are trying to achieve the same thing and get to the next level in terms of school. And I was able to play against a lot of great talent. My best game that year was against St. Raymond's, at St. Raymond's. And that was the first time. You got
a game winner, didn't you?
No, I did. I passed it to Pedro, who hit the game winner from half court.
Okay.
And that was because that game has so much hype because the game, when we played at Hayes, there was a fight and it was like a delay and we ended up beating him. So they was waiting for us to go back there for the rematch. So it was a big game. And I would say that was the first time, at least at the high school level, definitely at the high school level where like I was in that zone in terms of like I was doing stuff that I always knew I could do, but in the moment I'm just doing them and I'm not even comprehending what I'm doing. Like I think I had like 15 points in the first half. It felt like I had 30. My teammates is telling me, yo, Ish, you're bugging this and that. But to me, I'm like, yo, I'm just playing. Like I'm just in the zone right now. So that's one game I'll always forever remember. Just, that was the first time I really felt like I put it all together in terms of doing a bunch of things that I always felt I could do.
Understood. So now the year ends, like you said, y'all finished in the first round of the city playoffs. Now what are you planning to do going into that spring?
That spring I was, again, Cardinal Hayes. I was there. I was just weighing my options, figuring out what to do. And in AAU, I went to a bunch of different things. I wasn't gonna play with the City Rocks again because I think it was just that 3-hour bus ride every weekend was tough. So I think I went to a players practice think I might have played with them in one tournament to start as a warm-up and hoop group. And then I'm saying, okay, I'm not playing again. And it was just a bunch of different things. And I was like, I was kind of lost. I didn't know what I was going to do. And then I think Jeremy, again, he introduced me to Jock Rivera, the head coach at McDuffie. And, you know, he was presenting it to me and my family in terms of as an option, you know, you could go here, you could reclass. And if you reclass, I want you to play with PSA Cardinals. So we waited. You know, my parents were a little iffy about me going to prep school at first because, you know, 16-year-old, going to move, you know, a couple hours away, live by himself with the, you know, at a school, it's not, you know, the most easiest thing for a family to accept. But, you know, I ended up doing that. So when I decided I was going to do that, I ended up reclassing. And when I reclassed, I ended up joining PSA Cardinals 15s again. So I went back and played with them and Boo Williams for the first tournament. And again, they were injured. Tyson Etienne was hurt, so they needed a point guard. So I went down there and I played point guard in that first session. And, you know, that was when kind of, you know, I started getting some type of national attention because I was 6'6", playing point guard at Boo Williams. So that's what I'm doing. I played with PSA the rest of that summer.
Okay, now how would you say that experience was, joining the PSA Cardinals and playing with them like throughout the rest of the summer? What were some of your memories of that 15U year, and how much winning did y'all do as well?
Well, we didn't make Peace Jam, so I know that. We played in the PIT, and probably the biggest memory I have of that whole summer was just going to Peace Jam, seeing people that I'm watching on YouTube. Like, I remember it was the 2017 class, so I'm walking around the gym seeing Trae Young, Michael Porter, all these top players that I'm watching on YouTube, and you thinking like, as a kid, you thinking like, yo, these are like unattainable type things, but I'm seeing them in person. So I remember watching the Peace Jam Championship PSA versus Mocan, and just the hotels, seeing Mo Bamba in the hotel, being with James Bouknight, being with Tyson, just the hotels and the car rides. That was my first time I really felt like my AAU team and the team I was with for like my friends and like my, you know, my family. So it was like a real family experience for me. It's in the coaches as well, and I would say that was my biggest takeaway from that summer, just being in that family atmosphere and just seeing the people I grew up watching on YouTube in person for the first time.
Understood.